My story really begins way before I was born. My grandparents, Margaret and Clarence Reid, they raised my father in a Christian home and instilled Christian morals in him. He accepted Christ, and as a result, he raised me in a Christian home. My parents weren't perfect Christians. I didn't have a perfect childhood, but they did enough for me to accept Christ at a young age. As I was thinking about my story, starts when I'm about 13 years old. At that point in time, I'm a Christian, or so I think. I've said the prayer. I was 13, 14, my life drastically changed. I was in a car accident. We were in a van, and our van rolled 7 times, and the last time we went end over end. The van had no seats in it. It was a utility van. At the point in time, the girl who was hurt the worst was sitting between my legs. She was in a coma for 3 months, but I got up and walked out of the van with a mere head wound. I blamed God for it. I blamed God for not protecting us, for the things that happened, not knowing that God was going to use this tragic event to shape my life and make me into the person that I was going to become. I just blamed him. I slipped into a state of darkness, and I just wanted the pain to go away. And I would have done anything just to get the pain to stop. When I was a kid, I was taught that drugs and alcohol and cigarettes, these things are like the worst things in life. And if you try them, you're going to be addicted, and you're going to be one of those people. Well, I didn't care. I would try anything if it would make me feel better. So I started doing all kinds of drugs and drinking and smoking. And to my surprise, it made me feel great. Temporarily, it took away the pain. It just dulled me, and that's exactly what I wanted. I remember when my parents went on vacation. I was 17 years old. They went on vacation. I moved out, never went back home. In between 17 and 19, my life just got crazy with drugs. I dove into the drugs so heavily. I remember when I was 19 years old, had my own place. I remember I woke up one morning and I looked in the mirror and I was disgusted at who I seen. I could not believe what I had become. And I knew that I needed to change my life. So I started down the path, reading a Bible. I had this desire to want to go to church. So I drug my girlfriend, now wife, Selena at the time, to church, and it was exactly what we needed, both of us. We started to change. We started to learn about God and grow in our faith. We started sharing our faith with others, and we were, Christian, every sense of the word. Really, we were religious at best, but we got married during that point in time, and things were looking great for us. 2 weeks before our wedding, my best friend got killed, and it devastated me. I had never lost anyone, truly had anyone die in my life, and I didn't know how to take that. It was as if my life was replaying itself. I got a new job. I was working every weekend, so I stopped going to church, and I just never went back to church. And I thought that I could just drink in moderation and be responsible, and that everything would be fine, and that lasted for about 2 seconds. And I just started getting wasted. And I dove straight back into the drugs and alcohol and cigarettes, and I went even deeper the second time. I started growing marijuana at my house. I dug an underground bunker to store it because I was so paranoid. And as it just got worse and worse, my marriage started failing, my friendships started deteriorating, and I knew in my heart that something was not right. So I remember one night, I was drunk, I went outside, and I just prayed to God that He would help me, and I just begged Him to help me change my life. I couldn't do it on my own, and I needed His help. My life was so bad that I had to I had a long road before I was going to become a Christian. I knew that I had sins that I had yet paid for, and I needed to work my way through that. My marriage was all but destroyed. I remember looking through the newspaper and seeing an apartment circled, and there's only 2 people living in the house, and I'm not the one that circled it. So as I realized how bad it had gotten, I just started praying. My heart was being changed, but I needed God to change her heart. So as I prayed, I started watching church on TV, and I knew that I needed to go back to church, a real church, but I was so afraid that I wasn't going to be accepted because I just left. I finally got the courage to go back to church, and it was amazing that the people at Grace Community Church accepted me back. I really thought it was going to be a lot of, where were you, what happened, why did you leave and never come back, but no one ever said anything to me, and I think that impacted me so much, like that there was just forgiveness. Selena, as she came around, she was coming back to church, she signed me up for a course called The Life of Christ, and that absolutely changed my life. I took the class, I learned more about Jesus and what he had done and who he was and why he came, what his mission was, and what my purpose in life was at that point in time. And I fully accepted Christ in early 2006, committed my life to him and to serving him. Shortly after that, I started a cell group, and it kept me one step ahead of everybody else. I was studying. I felt like I was accountable. I was learning things that I had never learned before. I was creating relationships with people that I didn't know, opportunities to share my faith. And that's really what sealed the deal for me, was my cell group, because it made me understand what I was supposed to do: make disciples. My name is Michael Reid, and I am Grace.